What a trip life is. Wouldn't you agree? All my life I traveled. When I was 7, I lived in Zaire, a country in Central Africa. I was there when the war erupted in 1991, the war that led to the creation of the Democratic Republic of Congo. I can still remember one morning, our school van drifting abruptly, making a U-turn, me looking out the window, and seeing a militiaman with a big automatic weapon coming out of my school, while others were ransacking what used to be our classrooms. I remember the unease and sheer terror I felt when my father found a lost bullet embedded in my pillow on the one night my mother asked me to come sleep with them. I remember how terrified and how proud I was of my mother when she risked her life to get something to eat from the still besieged markets, just because she was the only Black woman in the compound. I remember our drive to the airport with the roads littered with burning tires and lifeless bodies on the ground. I remember having to say goodbye to my father for several months while he stayed behind in Zaire, while me and my mother, we stayed at Le Street Hotel in Ottawa. All while never understanding why I had to be out of school, why I never learned about these inequities and injustices in school, and why I did not seem to comprehend how everything is connected. Experiencing and bearing witness to the impact of unjust systems and war, my purpose became clearer after each war, revolt, and violence I experienced. I wanted to bring more peace, more justice, more community to the world. First, I tried to do it as a doctor, but that didn't work out. And now I get to do it as a JEDI woman. I always wanted to have superpowers when I was younger, and I found mine in this. As a child who moved from country to country, I was privy to an education that taught the same lessons over and over and over again, but missed out on the most important ones. They really taught us about justice, empathy, community, values that shape who we are and how we interact with each other. It left me wondering, what if education wasn't just facts and figures? What if communities could help us, education could help us better understand each other and ourselves? In today's society, too many young people feel unseen, unheard, unsupported in their learning environments. Educators struggle with outdated systems, parents hope for better opportunities for their children, and professionals see the ripple effect in our society. But what if we could change that? What if schools were a place where every voice is heard and seen, and where students are taught not just what to think, but how to think? What if communities were a place where ancestral wisdom meet modern insights with empathy and curiosity, and where justice and collaboration guide every decision we make? Now I'd like to invite all of you on a journey with me, to travel with me. On a journey of justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion, yes, but also justice, empathy, diversity, and inclusion. See, we can create learning spaces where transformation starts within us and expands to the world around us. And these spaces are called JEDI Lab. But Julie, what is a JEDI Lab? Well, I'm glad you asked. A JEDI Lab is a space where transformation starts within us and extends to the world around us. It embraces their ancestors' knowledge. It enriches our perspective to make an education system that is really centric. Now, please take your seat again. Buckle your seatbelt. It's time for takeoff. I like to title this first part of the trip, understanding ourselves. Because education should begin with the most essential journey of all, the journey inward. It's about answering the question, who am I? What shapes my worldview? You know, when you prepare for a flight, you check your luggage to make sure you have everything you need for your trip. The thing is, you don't just check your physical baggage. You also check your mental and emotional ones. The ones that include your biases, your stereotypes, your privileges, amongst other things. And these can express themselves differently depending on the trips you're taking. These invisible weights will shape how we navigate and interact with the world. Yet, most educational systems don't teach us how to unpack this baggage. They focus on performance metrics, forgetting that the foundation of every community is self-awareness. In the JEDI Lab, self-reflection becomes the runway for transformation. It's about creating spaces where everyone can examine, unpack their identities, their values, their inherited stories, not to dwell on them, but to use them as lenses, as a navigator system to better navigate the world with more clarity and more purpose. When students and leaders recognize their strength and acknowledge the bias, they become more effective leaders. But not just of others, but of themselves as well. This is how you prepare for takeoff on this journey, with the courage to look inward. Now, we embark on the second part of the journey, the travel. This is where we build empathy for others. So, as travel begins, you look around the plane, you start to see the world through the windows of that plane. But not just your own point of view, but the vast interconnected space above and below. This phase is about extending our empathy to include others. But empathy isn't passive. It's not just saying, I feel for you. No, real empathy is active. It's about understanding somebody's lived experience and then asking, what can I do to make this better? In learning spaces like the JEDI Lab, the use of ancestral storytelling and shared dialogue to foster these connections is primordial. Think about it. A classroom where students don't just learn about history, but hear the stories of their peers and ancestors on how they lived, struggled, and thrived. A workplace where teams communicate beyond roles and titles, appreciating each other's humanity. But this isn't just some feel-good work. This is systemic work. Research shows that organizations and communities with high level of empathy just perform better. They innovate faster, they collaborate more effectively, and they retain talent longer. They keep their people longer. But here's the catch. Empathy alone is not enough. It needs to lead to action with tools that turn compassion into tangible change, whether it's confronting inequities or reshaping the culture of a classroom. It can look like really intentionally trying to understand the point of view of others and actively doing something about it, like, for example, adopting inclusive practices for neurodiversity or creating conversational spaces. This phase of the journey teaches us that we are not alone on this flight. We're not alone in this fight. Every seat here is filled with a story, and every story matters, even if we don't see it at first. It is up to us, it is our job to go meet those stories and learn from them. Now, as the journey comes to an end, we prepare for landing. But it's not a return to where we started at the beginning of this talk. It is a step into a new world, one that we've reimagined together. So what kind of world do we want to build? One where children just memorize facts? Or one where they learn how to think, question, and create? One where justice is just a buzzword? Or a practice embedded in every decision that we make? When we combine ancestral wisdom and practices with forward-thinking solutions, magic happens. A curriculum where storytelling is as valued as science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, where justice isn't just taught but lived. Leaders who don't just talk about inclusion but embody it, making decisions that prioritize equity over profit, people over processes. This is about systemic change. Education, whether in schools or organization, isn't just a tool. It is a mirror of our society and also a predictor of our future. If we want to build a future where every child thrives, every leader leads with integrity, and every community feels a sense of belonging, we need to reshape the system together to reconnect with the essence of our collective humanity. Together, we can create this future. We can turn this vision into action by co-creating a new kind of learning for a new kind of world. We need JEDI Labs to design spaces where voices are valued, rekindling the art of being human together. We need JEDI spaces to elevate a society where individuality, compassion, empathy are celebrated. There is no all of us without we and without me. So what do you want to take from this journey? As, whether you're a student, a leader, a parent, an educator, we have to remember one thing. Systemic change starts with us. By building empathy, by understanding ourselves, and by reimagining the world we want, we create spaces where everyone belongs. I forgot that one. But now, the plane has landed, officially landed. It's time to step out and take action together. And my question for you is, will you be merely interested in this change, or will you be committed? Thank you.